I have this whole category of things that I always say are maybe true, but not that useful. So for example, if it's true, but not useful, there's plenty of things like we'll be in a meeting at work and somebody will say something. I say, that's true. I don't argue with what you're saying, but it's simply unimportant. It's not useful to what we're trying to decide or what we're trying to do here. Similarly, if it is true that we sort of have no free will and that it's all determined anyways, and that doesn't really matter what you do, well, that's not that useful because it doesn't actually serve me. That's not a story that serves me. And once you realize that it's all just stories anyways, pick the ones that serve you. Pick the ones that make you feel the way you want to feel, that get you to the outcomes you want to have, and not the ones that make you feel like crap.
Ultimately, your experience of your life is largely determined by the story that you tell yourself about it. In fact, you could maybe say that it's almost exclusively. We do not know the things that are going to happen in the future, right? We are not clairvoyant. We don't even really truly know ourselves. We're self-deceptive. Other people deceive us. We don't have a crystal ball that shows us what is going on either outside the world or inside of our own minds and our own bodies. Given the fact that we have to have some form of delusion, why not pick a delusion that's going to be beneficial to you?
Right.
Like, you have the choice to do this. Why err on the side of, and the only real reason, I've been railing against cynicism for quite a while now, and it was Michael Malice's book, The White Pill, that really got me onto it. Cynicism is the opposite of enthusiasm in some regards. And what I realized is the people who were being cynical were doing it because it was like sour grapes at an existential level. I called it the cynicism safety blanket, that if you presume that things are going to be terrible, you can never be disappointed by the world.
Exactly.
And it just seems like it's like a coward's way to live. And I understand people have had bad things have happened to them. They've gone through traumas. They've had discrimination. They've had all of this stuff. Like, I get it, right? I understand. And that would set you up to believe this may very well happen in the future. But like, what does it do for you? What corn does it grow? Show me the corn that you're growing from this. The corn you're growing is fucking shitty. Right. So yeah, I think less cynicism, more enthusiasm. If you're in your head, you're dead. What's that mean?
I guess there's kind of a theme with these, which is smart people do really dumb things. And I think an example of that is people who are in their head a lot. So if you're in your head, you're dead. I heard that once and it just resonated with me, partly because it rhymes. I'm a simpleton, but also partly because there was something that was very true about it. And I didn't even fully understand it yet, but I was like, yes, what though? Yes, and what? That was my reaction to it, which is a very good like signal for something you want to know more about, which is an immediate visceral yes without the intellectual understanding yet. And what I learned from this was a very simple thing. I want to be happy, like many people do, but I did something that most people don't do, which is try to figure out how the hell do you actually be happy. And one of the things about actually being happy is that you need to get out of your head. So most people who are, again, the type of people who listen to podcasts, I'll call out a lot of people who listen to podcasts, they are in their head. They try to think their way through life. They think their way through problems, and that serves them. But then they think they can think their way through feeling. Like, they want happiness, so they try to think their way there. Wait, no, hold on. You can't, like, that's like saying I'm going to talk my way through cooking. No, there's two different things. Like, I can maybe think my way, like, and logic my way through logical problems, but I can't think my way through emotion. That's not how emotion works. So the realization here was I always had a mindset. I thought the formula worked like this. I thought if you think a certain thing, you will feel a certain way, which will lead you to do a certain thing. And that is true. If I think that this person just cut me off while I was driving, I will feel pissed, I'll feel angry, and I will then do something in retaliation. I'll road rage, I'll drive, I'll cut them off, I'll flick them off, whatever it is, right? Think leads to feel, leads to do. I thought it's a one-way street. And then I realized most like math equations are like reversible. Like if A plus B equals C, then C equals A plus B. So the other way also works, and it actually works better in this case. So if you do a thing, you will feel differently, which will cause you to think differently. And so anybody who exercises knows this intuitively, whether they've wrapped words around this or not, which is if you think you're feeling tired or shitty, and therefore you if you think I don't have enough time, or I'm feeling I didn't sleep enough last night, whatever, you'll feel tired and shitty, and therefore you won't do exercise. But if you just happen to overcome that, if you quickly just short circuit that and say, nope, not listening to that thought, and you instead just go do the thing. You go and do 50 push-ups right now on the ground. You go into a cold plunge. You do something physical. You will immediately feel different, which will lead you to have a different thought. And so once I realized the equation works better the other way, the traffic is less crowded driving the other way on that road, I was like, this is the hack. And so now I realize that the thoughts are not the sort of master controller of the universe. They're just an equal party to this. They have one seat at the table, feelings have another, and actions have another. And actually, they all influence each other. So if you want to feel differently, you can either think something different or do something different. And doing is just way easier, because if you try to think yourself out of it, you just tie yourself up in knots usually. And so once I realized this, I realized that I had lived a lot of my life in my own head, trying to think my way through everything. And a much faster version of this was to just do something. The difference between knowledge and wisdom: knowledge is knowing what you should do, and wisdom is doing what you should do. To me, that is my definition of wisdom. It's knowledge applied. It's doing what you should do. You do need enough knowledge to at least know roughly what you should do. But what most people do is they then over-index on knowledge and go try to learn all the possible things that there are to know about the subject, and under-index on wisdom, which is actually doing and applying the base knowledge that they have.
When it comes to stopping yourself praying at the altar of cerebral horsepower quite so much, all of the people that I know that are the most effective in life have a very small number of operating principles and one orientation, usually. One single orientation. And this is a lesson.
What's an orientation? What do you mean by that?
They are moving toward a particular destination. I hesitate to say goal because I don't think it's quite the same as a goal. It's more an area that they're moving toward. So, for instance, for George, his would be, he wants to be able to have fun and write. So his entire life is built around him being able to have fun and write. He wants to write for 2 hours every single morning. It doesn't matter where on the planet he is, and he wants to have fun. And fun for him can be from hanging with friends. It can be doing cold tub. It can be learning to play pickleball. It can be traveling. It can be doing whatever, right? 2 stories. One from Jeff Bezos. Apparently, while he was at Amazon, every single decision that was made was run through one single orienting principle. That orienting principle was, does this improve the customer experience? Does this improve the customer experience? Every single decision. Don't know if it's true. Symbolically, it's useful. Second one, Elon Musk. Does this get us closer to Mars? Does this get us close to Mars? And if you have a single orienting principle, evidently, does me taking a poop now or taking a poop in 15 minutes time, which one gets us closer to Mars? That's, you're not going to ask yourself that question, but just having that orienting principle. And this is why Hormozi, who is got an interesting approach to this. He talks about periods of life, phases or periods of life. And he was talking about for this next phase or for this next period, and he breaks them up into 7-year blocks. He was like, I know that I'm going to be in Vegas for the next 7. So I don't mind. I can just lock in. I'm in Vegas. This is what we're going to do. We've got the apartment. I know where I'm going to buy an office, and I'm going to do the whatever, and I'm going to build a gym. By having phases or periods of your life, it allows you to be more ruthless with your orientation principle, because it doesn't need to scale for quite as long. If you accept that you're time bound on what you're doing at the moment, I actually think 7 years is fucking insane. And obviously he's probably got it broken into 90-day sprints and 1-year blocks or whatever. But by having it at least time bound, what it permits you to do is be like, right, okay, all that I need to do within the next 90 days is build up a healthy eating habit. And my social life can go out of the window and my business might take a little bit of a hit, but I've decided in advance that this is the thing that I'm going to do. And I like the orienting principle as a way to simplify down. I've been exposed to all these ideas. Some good ones have stuck about. The ones that I enjoyed are the ones that I've kept. Now, what am I really, really aiming towards? Okay, which one spoke to me the most? How does it fit with my lifestyle? And how can I time bound that for the next however long?